What's up, Achievers? Lauren Pack here, and I've been getting a lot of questions about how I've been modifying my workouts throughout my pregnancy. I'm currently 22 weeks pregnant, so I'm in my second trimester, and so today I wanted to talk about safe strength training during pregnancy. So I have a lot of experience with this, not just with myself, but also with a lot of women that I've trained throughout their pregnancy. And there are a few general guidelines that we typically like to follow and that I have been following myself. Number one is to try not to add too many new things to your routine. Stick to things that you've already been doing. Number two is to listen to your body. And number three is to modify when necessary. And those guidelines may seem really simple, but actually they're the best thing that you can keep in mind while you're training throughout your pregnancy. It's not the time to hit any PRs. It's not the time to try anything new or radical. It's just a time to listen to your body, to modify as you see fit, and to really make sure that you're in control of what's going on. As I've now experienced firsthand, every pregnancy is different, and everyone's gonna have different symptoms and different things come up, and you really have to learn to listen to your own body. With that said, I personally, and the women that I've worked with in the past, all still follow a pretty general strength training program, and we simply just modify the exercises as we see fit. And that general outline is starting with a warm-up, maybe some foam rolling and some mobilizations, moving on to power development, throwing a medicine ball, or maybe doing some Turkish get-ups, then going into a strength training routine, and then finishing up with a little bit of cardio. So let's talk about some considerations from trimester to trimester. So the first trimester, in terms of safety, there's not a lot that we have to actually change. But we tend to be really tired, nauseous, low energy, and so what we need to consider in that first trimester is just cutting ourselves a little bit of slack and making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, our hydration needs, our sleep needs, and putting that stuff first. When we can get a workout in, great, but not putting so much pressure on ourselves to continue to work out at the level or the intensity that we were working out at before. In the second trimester, we're usually feeling a little bit more energy, we're feeling a little bit better, but there are some safety concerns now with certain exercises. So we want to make sure that we're modifying things where we're lying flat on our backs for long periods of time. We want to make sure that we're not doing exercises where we're feeling a lot of outward abdominal pressure, and we want to make sure that we're listening to our body and just starting to realize when things start to feel a little bit off. Now, I can't personally speak to the third trimester yet, but I know from experience working with other women that this is again when we start to get a little bit more tired, we're carrying a lot more weight around, so now we also have to take into consideration that because we are carrying so much more weight around, we might need to lower the weights that we're lifting, and that's totally okay. Now, I want to go through a general workout that I would put together for myself. And I'll start with something that I would do in the first trimester. So usually I would start with either a squat or a deadlift. For the squat, I was doing things like a barbell front squat or a barbell back squat. For the deadlift, I was typically doing a barbell deadlift as well. Then I would go into a push and a pull, an upper body push and an upper body pull. That upper body push was usually something like a barbell bench press or some sort of push-up variation, and the upper body pull was typically a pull-up or some sort of rowing variation. I would also try to incorporate some single leg training like a single leg deadlift, and then finish off with some core exercises like hollow holds or dead bugs or hanging leg raises, a little bit more gymnastics type core exercises that I was able to do before I got pregnant and could continue to do in my first trimester. Now, as the second trimester came along, I started to modify some things a little bit. So for squats, I went to double kettlebell front squats. This felt a little bit more comfortable. Holding the load here for me just felt better. For deadlifts, I switched to trap bar deadlifts. This way the weight is around me as opposed to out in front of me. And since I was already starting to have some weight out in front of me with my belly, it felt better to have the weight surrounding me. In terms of the upper body push and pull, this is where it changed the most for me. So I started to feel a little bit of discomfort in my abdomen with push-ups and with pull-ups. So I took both of those things out and I modified them to do similar exercises that worked similar muscle groups but did not put any pressure on my abs. So I switched to an incline dumbbell chest press for my upper body push, and I switched to a TRX row for my upper body pull. This is what personally worked for me. There may be other women who can continue to do pull-ups without any issues or continue to do push-ups, but for me, this is where I felt like I was ready to modify and listen to my body. In terms of my single leg training, I was starting to feel a little bit off balance, and so to remedy that, I went to a shoulders elevated single leg glute bridge. So my shoulders were stable on the bench, and I was doing single leg training still, one leg at a time, working on the posterior chain, my glutes and my hamstring. And in terms of core training, I started to really dial it back in terms of intensity, and I started to do more things like suitcase carries or anti-rotation presses where I take a cable machine and press it out in front of me and try to resist rotation there. These are exercises that felt better to me than direct core work or planks or leg raises where I felt like I was getting a little bit of straining in my abdominal region. I plan on continuing the push and pull progressions that I was doing in my second trimester, but I may lower the intensity in the the weight a little bit. Go into my third trimester, I know that I'm gonna continue to modify. I may do things like a kettlebell goblet squat instead of a double kettlebell squat, or even a body weight squat. I may do a kettlebell deadlift instead of a trap bar deadlift. I can't really know for sure because I'm planning on waiting and listening to my body when I get there. But I hope that this video has given you some insight into how I've been training myself and how we usually train pregnant women at Achieve. The most important thing to remember is that every pregnancy is different and there's no right or wrong way to train as a pregnant woman. We just want to make sure that we're listening to our bodies, that we're not pushing the intensity or going for any PRs, and that we're modifying when necessary. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that little thumbs up button below and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, peace, love, and muscles.